If I comment on Georgia that I've followed for 30 years, I would tell you that one of the things that always has made Georgia a great place to locate for business has been the availability of labor. The labor we're seeing, yes, we all understand that labor costs are a little cheaper in Georgia than maybe in the Northeast, but it's not just that. It's the availability of labor, and in many cases, high-quality labor. That having been said, I will tell you that I spoke in the last 5 years in 31 states across the country. And in every one of those states, from every group I spoke to, one of the top two issues that they identified was labor shortages. It is hard to overstate the degree to which tight labor markets are holding back on our ability to grow in Georgia and in most states. Candidly, we are thrilled by the opportunity for Georgians to get jobs. Tight labor markets mean employment opportunities are broadly available. That's a good thing for the workers. The problem is, as those labor markets have tightened, we have begun to see executives in construction, agriculture, manufacturing, business services, retail, all reporting that they are having trouble filling positions, and probably just as importantly, they're having trouble retaining existing workers. Well, the big change over the last 13 years is between 2007 and date, the percentage of the adult population that is in the labor force, that is either employed or looking for a job, has come down from being around 67% to about 63%. So that means we have 4% less of our adult population employed or seeking employment. Now, I point that out only because if we can increase the labor force participation rate, therein would lie some remedy for tight labor markets. Who's out of the labor force? Well, interestingly enough, it is the younger age cohorts. You have to go all the way up to the age cohort between 45 and 55 to find the labor force participation rate stable. And actually, the more senior workers, those between 65 and 74 or above 75, actually are participating in the labor markets at a much higher rate than they were a generation ago. And so hopefully we will find that whatever sociological phenomena that is keeping younger Americans out of the labor force, if that moderates and we see them engage with the same intensity they have in the past, then that should provide us some relief going forward. Going forward, it will be an interesting transition to watch the millennials move from being in their younger age cohorts into being more in their 30s and 40s.
The total number of individuals who are either working are actively seeking work. We're not counting the people who are sitting at home and not looking, but I'm talking about folks that are out there working and are looking for work. That's the workforce number. And actually, that is the number that we are looking at and are most concerned with right now, because it's going to be the issue, and has been the issue, about growing our economy, because we don't have a problem with creating jobs here in Georgia. Let me give you kind of a little bit of an example of two numbers that we've seen over the last 12 months that can give you a little bit of concern. First of all, when you talk about workforce, over the last 12 months, we've only gained that total number of people in our workforce. We've only seen that number increase by about a little over 4,000 people in 12 months. Now, when you consider the fact that we got about a little over 5 million people in our workforce, that's a very, 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 very small percentage of an increase right there. And the total number of people that we've seen increase in the total number of employment over the last 12 months has only been about 15,000 that we're seeing in our numbers. What I'm saying is there's only about 15,000 more people employed today than there were at the same time last year. Now, if you take those two numbers by themselves, that sounds like a really bad over-the-year jobs report, right? But let's talk about jobs. During that same time period, we've actually seen right at 85,000 jobs created. So you got 85,000 jobs created when you've only added less than 5,000 people to your workforce. You can see where the crunch is coming.
So at this time, we're going to hear from Mark Thielen, the President and CEO of Landmark Landscapes. We have a couple of our members from the landscape industry here today to talk a little bit about their challenges and experiences in their industry. So we're pleased to have you with us this morning.
When we first started, we were a three-man crew could get, we do a lot of apartment complexes. A three-man crew can do an apartment complex a day. Today, we can do 2 to 3 apartment complexes a day. And it's not because the employee is better, it's because a lot of the technology has gotten better. and mowers have gotten faster. We can cut a lot more grass. We can get a lot more acres done. It goes back to the technology point that you brought up in the agriculture, and it's also the same in urban ag. But that is plateaued until they figure out how to have an automated mower, do commercial landscape. That we're still going to need guys behind mowers cutting grass. We're all for following the law. I'm a guest worker user. I use H2B. It's a program that is broken, but it's available. And if you are lucky enough to get your workers, then you're in a good position. And I had many people call me this year who didn't get their labor, just freaking out. And so we got our labor, and we have a good year, and we're growing. But next year, I don't know if I'm get it. We've been working with Mary Kay and Urban Ag, with been a sponsor for Sept for many years, and the Sept group is for the high school students who aren't going into a career. Into college, and they're going to more go into a career path, and we want to show them that landscaping has a great career path. You can make a good living and have a great lifestyle in the landscape industry, and we've been working with Sept how many years? 5 years, trying to recruit and show young students that there's opportunity here.
When you just look at the overall scenario and what we're kind of doing today, just getting a overview of the industry and those kind of things, if I just ask you the biggest challenge that you have related to labor today, what would that be?
Honestly, it's we can't hire people that don't show up. We can't hire people that don't come to the door and apply, and we that's the biggest challenge.
I don't know, none of my Senate colleagues will believe this, but I got my first full-time job during summer in college in turf management, which basically consisted of me hauling around a weed eater and riding a lawnmower all day at a golf course.
If I'd have known that, we'd have had you testify.
I think I picked up more life skills from that job in the three years I did that during college than probably most of my other college experience that I had in school. Does that workforce even exist that much when you're talking about the need for that seasonal work? Does that college student coming home from, is that there?
We'll get a few. It helps that my son's in college, and so he'll bring his buddies. But that period is maybe 6 to 8 weeks, so it's a very small window. So it's really us exposing them to the industry, and there's not a lot of benefit to me. The more the benefit is to exposing them and giving the opportunity, the life skill, like you mentioned.
Now we'll hear from Jim McCutcheon, the CEO of High Grove Partners.
This labor challenge has really hit us hard. I don't know of any time in my career when I've seen anything like this. Mark and I have very similar experiences. I am also a drug-free workplace. We are pre-employment, random, and also, unfortunately, when there's an accident. One of my main locations in Austell, today, 70% of the applicants will not pass that drug test when they come in the door. So if we have 20 plus people that apply for the job on any given day, we confirm every one of those folks for an interview. I have folks that are fully dedicated to that. We confirm them for that interview. If it's 20, maybe 8 or 10 of them will actually show up for the interview. Ultimately, we may offer the job to 5 of them, and we might get 2 that show up. It's a tough world out there to try to deal with that. We're hiring year-end all the time, every week, and I will tell you on average we are probably 10 to 20% short-staffed every single week. So it's rough. It is absolutely rough. I appreciate the fact that you guys are looking at this and trying to figure out ways in which you can help. I will tell you right now, I will help any way you need me to help because we got to solve this problem. you can see through that handout, there's probably listed there 12 to 15 different groups that we've tried to work with over the years, the last several years, including the DOL, and frankly, had little to no success with any of these things. I will tell you, this is not a comprehensive list. This is just kind of a highlight list because there's been a lot more things that we've tried. So there is no silver bullet with it, but we've tried with each one of these groups and continue to work with them to see if there's some process we can get through the DOL, and working with them. We've hired 3 people in the last 3 years. Single biggest challenge is just I don't care if you've ever been in this business. I don't care what you know about this business. I just want you to show up with a good attitude, and I want to be there and work hard. That's it. I'll get you the rest of the way. I'll get you whatever you need.